My older brother orchestrated a terrifying, year-long stalking campaign against himself just to siphon our parents' retirement fund. When he actually ended up in the ICU a year later, not a single one of us answered his frantic phone calls. Julian was born a professional victim. Growing up, nothing was ever his fault, and every failure was a massive conspiracy against him. If he didn't make the varsity team, the coach was bribed. If he was fired, his manager was intimidated by his potential. He possessed this uncanny ability to twist any narrative until he was the helpless martyr and everyone else was obligated to rescue him. It was easier to just agree and pay his rent than to endure his explosive, weeping tantrums. But as we got older, the everyday crises weren't enough to keep everyone's attention. The financial well was drying up. He needed something bigger. The nightmare started with a shattered windshield. Julian called our mother at 3 in the morning, hyperventilating. He claimed a deranged former coworker had been following him for weeks and had finally attacked his car. 2 days later, he found a threatening note taped to his apartment door. The week after that, his power was mysteriously cut. He painted a picture of a relentless, violent predator who knew his every move. He stopped going to work entirely. He claimed the local police were useless and refused to intervene until he was physically harmed. The terror in his voice was so raw, so incredibly convincing, that it completely paralyzed our entire family with fear. Our parents immediately went into full crisis mode. They drained their savings to break his lease and moved him into a luxury, high-security building downtown. They paid for a sophisticated alarm system, his weekly groceries, and a discreet rental car so his stalker couldn't track his license plate. Relatives who hadn't spoken to Julian in years sent money for self-defense classes and legal advice. I wasn't immune to the panic. When he told me he desperately needed to hire a private investigator because the cops were completely ignoring his case, I transferred him $3,000 from my wedding fund. He cried on FaceTime, telling me I was the only reason he felt safe closing his eyes at night. The cracks began to show around the 6-month mark. I asked for the private investigator's name so I could send him a piece of evidence Julian had vaguely mentioned. Julian froze, then mumbled a generic name that yielded 0 results online. I asked to see the official police report so I could leverage a contact I had at the precinct to speed things up. Suddenly, Julian was furious. He aggressively accused me of interrogating him like a criminal. He called our parents, sobbing hysterically that I was victim-blaming him and exacerbating his severe PTSD. My mother tearfully begged me to back off and be supportive, so I swallowed my deep doubts and kept quiet. The truth unraveled by pure accident. I went to Julian's new apartment to drop off some mail that had gone to his old address. He was in the shower and his iPad kept buzzing loudly on the kitchen counter. It was a text from his childhood friend, Greg. I glanced at the glowing screen and felt the blood completely drain from my face. "Hey man, need another $50 if you want me to throw that brick through your patio window tonight. Risking a lot here." My hands shook violently as I unlocked the device. I scrolled back through months of coordinated text messages. Greg was the terrifying stalker. Julian was paying his buddy a few $100 a month to stage the vandalism, draft the psychotic letters, and make the blocked midnight phone calls. Julian wasn't running for his life. He had meticulously manufactured a psychological thriller simply to secure a free, luxurious lifestyle without having to hold down a job. I didn't confront him. I just took photos of everything and left. When I showed my parents the damning screenshots that evening, the sheer devastation broke them. They packed up, cut him off entirely, changed their phone numbers, and eventually moved out of state to escape the shame. We didn't speak to him for 14 solid months. Then came the frantic voicemails from a blocked number. Julian was screaming into the receiver, begging for thousands of dollars, claiming he was in deep, life-threatening trouble with some dangerous people he'd borrowed money from. We thought it was just the highly anticipated sequel to his last fictional movie. We deleted the voicemails and went to sleep. 2 days later, a very real detective called to tell us Julian had been found beaten half to death in an alley.